Today we're going to talk about the Instagram landing page. If you use Instagram at all, then you know that there is one spot that you have the opportunity to put a clickable link. If you scroll through Instagram and you're reading through people's profiles and you click on their links, you'll see a lot of them use something called Linktree. So Linktree, there are several services out there like Linktree. Linktree just seems to be the one that's out there quite a bit. Linktree provided a way to maximize that one clickable URL. So when you go to somebody's profile and you click on their link and it's using Linktree, it then takes you to a landing page that has multiple buttons so that then you can explore other things this person does, get to know them better, get to know their product services, get more of an idea of who they are and what they are about. Great service. There are free versions of these services. There are paid versions. Obviously, with the free ones, you get a lot of their branding on it, far fewer options. The paid versions, you get more options. But today we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you how to create your own and why you should do that. So if you create your own, not only do you not have to pay any kind of fee or have somebody else's stuff all over your page, but you can keep your branding. You may not have the options to use all of your branding elements when you use one of these services. If you create your own landing page on your website, then you can keep everything consistent and people will recognize it as you and your brand. It also allows you to drive the traffic directly to your website. So instead of it taking you to Linktree/whatever, it drives the traffic directly to your site. They see your URL there. It helps to familiarize them with you, your brand, your website, and all of that. And then finally, it opens up possibilities. You can be as creative as you want. There's really, the sky's the limit. You can make this into something really cool. So today I'm going to show you how to make a very basic one. But we did create a couple of design templates. So for all of you out there who are Divi users, that's what we'll be using today. We like to use Divi because it empowers people to be able to edit and make changes on their website, even if they are not necessarily tech savvy. If you're using another website builder, you can use the tools that come with that builder and replicate what we're doing today. And then, of course, if you use something else or you code your website yourself, then you will know what's available to you to create something similar to what we're showing you today. But for you Divi users out there, we also have a download. It has some design files in it that you can upload directly to your Divi library and plop them in the page and play with them. If you don't use Divi, you can still download this because in that file you'll also find images. So you'll get some inspiration maybe about something you might want to create or something you hadn't thought of. So even if you don't use Divi, feel free to download this right here. And maybe you'll get some inspiration from a couple of the designs we put together. So let's go ahead and we'll move on and I'll show you how we do this. So here in Divi, we're going to start up here. If you use Divi, that if whatever your title is will not show up on the page if you're using the Divi builder. So give this some very basic name so as you're scrolling through your pages in your dashboard, it's very obvious what this page is, so if you need to reference it or change it, it's easy to find. However, for your URL, you're going to want to change it. You don't want to say /Instagram links. So some suggestions are something descriptive, like get connected, something shocking maybe, something cutesy, something creative, because basically, you want people to be reading through your profile and maybe go, oh my goodness, I wonder what this is, like spark some, questions and make them click it. Or, you can keep it simple and keep it descriptive, but be creative as you want to be with it. So we're going to click OK. That's our URL that will plop into Instagram. One other thing you need to do is come over here to page attributes. You'll want to change it to blank page. So that way it takes care of removing all the navigation, and you basically start with this, a blank white page. So because we are doing this for mobile, this is all about being usable on mobile, we're going to keep everything in single column straight down the middle. On the design files, if you downloaded that, you'll see We added a section at the bottom on a couple of them, an opt-in or an about section, and we ended up using 2 columns. What I'm going to suggest, and we're going to show you here today, is adding, like, building out the page with just the buttons and all of that. And then if you want to get creative at the bottom and add 2 column things, just make sure that you preview it on mobile and make sure it looks and functions the way you want it to. So we are going to add our row here. And the first thing I'm going to add, and obviously anything that we do here today, if you like it, do it. If you don't like it, don't do it. If you have better ideas, do that. We're going to add our logo. So I'm going to put that here, and we're going to make sure that it's centered. Everything we add to this column, we will want to make sure that it is centered. Then you might want to add your handle, get people familiar with your logo and your Instagram handle together so that they know who they're dealing with and kind of have that in their head. Like when they see one or the other, they think of you. So, and again, you just want to make sure you center that. And now we're going to add our first button. And we're going to keep it pretty simple here today. But, you know, with buttons, you can change the backgrounds and the gradients and the shadows and the animation and all kinds of things. So feel free to play with it and get creative. This tutorial is strictly to just show you how to build one out quickly and make it work for the Instagram landing page. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to advanced. There is one piece of code we want to add. And this is just going to make it so that all of the buttons are the same size. Because if you use Divi at all, then you know that the buttons are generally, the length of the buttons and the size of the buttons depend on the text you put in, and we want them to all be uniform. So this does mean that you can't put like super long text in the button and keep it uniform, but you can put a couple of words, and depending on your font size, you know, maybe fit a little bit more in if you need to. But so we're going to make the min width 300, and you'll find, that we added this to the vault, so it's down here for you to copy and paste in there. So we're going to put that under main element in the advanced section of the button. And now we're going to add our button content. For this purpose, I'm just going to label it button 1. And because it will be something else, I would go ahead and change the admin label, so that way in the future, if you're changing, say you're putting a particular program you're running right now and then you want to switch it out, you don't have to figure out which button it is. It will be labeled for you. And then design, we want to make sure put it centered along with everything else. We're going to go in and use custom styles. And then here you can get super creative. I generally keep the text at 20 pixels, but you can use whatever you use across the board on your site, or get creative for a certain look or feel that you're going for. And we're just going to keep this super simple. Alright, so I've added some things. Let's save that. I'll add that too. Maybe. There we go. Okay, so now we'll update and we'll see what that button looks like. So I'm going to refresh this page. Alright, so we have our logo, we have that. And for these purposes, we're just going to leave it as that. Let this load. And so what you're going to do after you create the initial button, assuming you the same design, and even if you don't, I would go ahead and copy the original button, and you can go in and make design changes. If you want to make one button that you really want to highlight a different color from the rest, that's great. Might be a good option in order to draw attention to that if it's something you're really trying to get eyes on. So we're going to let this update. Okay, so what we're going to do is just replicate that button. And so of course then you would go in and you would change the text. You would change the link to whatever you want it to be for this particular button, and then the label, and that CSS is already in there because we just replicated the button, and you'll just go through and do that for each of the buttons you just created. And generally 4 to 5 buttons is a good amount. It's totally up to you and what you're trying to get eyes on, but if you overwhelm people, you know, they're not necessarily going to click on anything, and then you just have to remember that most likely they're going to go on your Instagram, they're going to click on that URL, they're going to be taken to this page, and then they're going to click on one of these buttons. So if there's something that you really want them to be, the next step, once they come off your Instagram, whether it's a way to get to know you better or a freebie you offer or something along those lines, then I would make sure that you put that button towards the top and it stands out, so that you can get the most eyes on there. Let me change that. I changed our URL. All right, so now we have this. And so if we minimize that, you'll see that this is how basically it will show up on mobile. With your logo here, resized, your Instagram handle, and then your buttons and go to your content. So I think that covers it. If you have any questions, feel free to come over into the Business by Design Facebook group and ask them. Share your landing pages with us so we can get inspired by what you've come up with and have fun with this.